Hi, and welcome to the Planet Driven Brands podcast. In this show, we will be discussing with our guests how brands they represent can help in the drive to build a better, more sustainable and safer planet. We will highlight brands as drivers for change and the role they play as influencers. How will brands positively impact the planet and its environment? This is what we're going to find out. Do brands actually have any responsibility to change? The Planet Driven Brands podcast. Episode 31. Today's guest is Amanda Rolat, the founder and CEO of Bramble Pet Foods. And today we're going to be talking about the advance of sustainable and natural pet foods. Hi Amanda, thank you so much for coming on our show. We wonder if you could give us a quick introduction.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm Amanda. I'm the founder and CEO of Bramble, which is the first and only, at least in the United States, 100% plant-based fresh pet food.
The responsibility of businesses and brands towards the sustainability of the planet. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that businesses have a massive responsibility to the sustainability and the thinking through of the future of this planet and for future generations. There's way too many companies prior to today who have just been about the bottom line, just about convenience, just about making money, completely sacrificing consumer health and really forgoing their own responsibility. And here we are. And one of the most exciting things and trends taking place today are that companies are coming in and really leading the charge of turning that around. And disrupting that status quo and are really taking their responsibility of what they're selling and what they're saying and what they're marketing and what they're claiming very, very seriously. And of course, there's consumer responsibility in that as well. I'm not of the belief, both as a consumer and someone who's starting a business, that companies can absolve themselves just by saying, well, it's up to the consumer to do their own research. I think that it's up to the companies as well to have integrity and be honest in what they're saying and selling.
Should the consumers be pushing harder?
I don't know if consumers should be pushing harder. It's just the fact that they don't. And that's why it's extremely easy for companies and brands to get away with clever marketing and easy marketing that still continues to mask cost-cutting, inferior ingredients. I do think that it's fair that if you're putting something in bold letters on the front of your packaging, yes, should consumers necessarily have to read the fine print on the back of the label to work through what's actually inside the product that they're buying?
So I just wondered, what's your journey?
Accidental. So I was a lawyer and, not at all looking to found a pet food company or a company. And it was very personal for me, the journey here. And it was really just, I've always been an animal person. I was an animal kid. I was always all about my pets and animals and felt a deep, deep, deep connection and empathy to animals. But from a very early age, I always remember thinking that animals are put into positions by people, food, for sport, for travel, and we use them, we exploit them. And it was always very, very troubling to me. And so I, became very involved in animal rescue and animal welfare, but I always considered this a hobby, secondary to my career. And similarly, I was very, I always loved cooking, and those two passions sort of merged as I didn't want to eat animals and I became, much more knowledgeable about health and wellness. And, that it's a really quick hop, skip, and a jump when those are your interests to being plant-based. So those were just really my interests and my hobbies. And then I lost my dog, Harry, to cancer. Oh. And one of the first things that happens when your pet, gets cancer or diabetes or, is you start researching what we're feeding them. And it was extraordinarily similar to the journey that I took in my own life, where I learned that dogs are really suffering from a rise in degenerative diseases. 20% of dogs are obese, more than half of them are overweight, 1 in 2 dogs will get cancer, all of the same kinds of diseases that we often link to the food that we eat is being mirrored by pets, which isn't surprising since the pet food industry mirrors the human food industry in so many ways. The pet food industry is still full of really processed dry food with inferior ingredients, and it really suffers from a dearth of transparency and honest marketing. Even the most expensive brands are using words like all natural and holistic. And many consumers in the human food industry, we've rejected those sorts of terms. We know that they don't mean anything, but we still fall for them in the pet food industry. And so it was really this wake up call that everything that had become healthier in my own life, I had abandoned in feeding my child. I mean, these are my kids. I don't have human kids. Harry was my best friend, my child. And I really felt responsible for, how things came to an end with him. And so I had these other 2 rescue dogs, Bryn and McGruff, and all I knew is that I wanted to feed them fresh food. I would make it myself. I wanted to feed them less meat if possible.
Yes.
But we all have this carnivorous image of dogs because we are marketed to have this carnivorous image of dogs. So I was a lawyer and I went about researching this, and I hired board certified vet nutritionists just to see if I could formulate something that I could then make for my own dogs. And when I learned that dogs are omnivores and that they can thrive on plant-based protein, either fully vegan or in part. And so I felt very confident and good in what I was learning and what I was attempting to do. And then Brennan McGruff loved it. So I had this very clean, consistent protein source, fresh. It was formulated to be complete and balanced. And that really made me feel good. I wasn't harming the planet. I wasn't harming animals. My dogs were happier with their food than ever. And that's when I really went about seeing whether or not I could turn this into a business.
And just to interject there, it's bramble.pets.com if you want to see Bryn and McGruff, by the way, because they are adorable.
Thank you.
Clearly, I think my dogs are adorable, but yeah, they are
Every
adorable.
dog is adorable. Everyone thinks their dog is the most adorable, and everyone's right.
How long ago did you actually then go, right, I'm going to do this, and how's it been the years in between?
So it took me a while to say I'm going to do this, and then say I'm going to do this full time, and I'm going to be the one. The first steps were really just, am I crazy? Am I the only person that wants to do something like this? And so the first part was just sort of fact finding and asking people, and especially asking people outside of my friend group, because you can't trust what your friends are saying to you. And so really just I reached out to people. I was cold emailing people, and some of the greatest responses I got were, I cold emailed Andy Levitt, who's the founder and CEO of Purple Carrot, and got this incredibly generous email response back from him. And he's been just so generous and encouraging, generous with his time and encouraging of what I was trying to do. Ethan Brown from Beyond, David Benzikin from Mission Plant have just been so generous and encouraging. I can go on and on about it. It really just demonstrates how passionate and how committed the people in this industry really are. And so that was the initial validation that I'm not completely insane. And then I was putting the pieces in place, and that was, all of that was a good couple of years ago. And I would say that really going all in and saying, I'm going to do this and launch a company was about a year ago. And we just launched in the Northeast in the United States.
Tell me about the 2 products then, the Cowbell and the Roost. How did you distinguish them, and how did you come out with such great names?
So we have 2 recipes, 2 fresh dog food recipes are the ones that we launched with, the Cowbell and the Roost, and they're quite similar. They really are formulated to be complete and balanced, so that if you feed entirely Bramble like I do, and you don't mix it with anything else, your dog is getting not just all of their protein and nutrients. Bramble's a high protein diet, so it well exceeds the recommended daily protein levels, and they're getting all of their nutrients and their vitamins and minerals. What I hope for Bramble and what I hope for pet parents is to be able to provide trusted, transparent, high quality alternatives to some of the most sought after pet products that, really mirror what we're doing in our own diets, that don't need animals. You can get the same benefits, if not more, by doing plant-based versions. And not only can you get at least as good, but without any of the downside. I really hope for Bramble and for pet consumers that they see and recognize that this is just as drool worthy, just as effective in terms of supplements or other products, without any of the downsides. You can really feel good about the products we'll be bringing people's way. And I hope to drive a conversation about that. I hope to really, with the help of the other companies that have the same mission in the pet food industry that Bramble has, I think it's a really great time for, the power of all of us to be helping each other drive a much broader conversation about looking at what we're told by and what we've been told, and really beginning to question the veracity of those claims and what our pets really need.
And I think you should use the statement drool worthy whenever you can, because I think that's a fantastic way of describing it. We need to thank Harry for a lot here.
I know.
Because it was him that drove on this. And I think
I know. We have to get a special
Harry.
Tribute page up for him on our website, because it really all started with Harry.
Amanda, that was fascinating. Thank you ever so much for your time. It's been brilliant having you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I loved it.
Absolute pleasure. And we'll do it again soon, hopefully.
Yes, hopefully. Thank you.
All the best. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Thank you. You really must go online and see Bryn and McGruff. They really are such beautiful dogs. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. The Planet Driven Brands podcast is the brainchild and copyright of Nick Jones and is broadcast in partnership with theplanetsagency.com. Planets Agency is a partnership of consultants and communications experts. We build planet-driven brands. During the series of shows, we'll be hearing from more experts, and we would love for you to be involved. Please do comment or come back to us with questions. We'll be happy to engage. If you wish to be notified when our episodes are broadcast, please subscribe on the website. If you'd like to be part of the show, we'd love to hear from you. We look forward to many more entertaining episodes. Thanks again for listening.